It doesn't matter what background, faith you come from. If you are struggling in a certain way, you're struggling because any human being can struggle like that. Why are you not speaking honestly about what you've gone through? No one's ever going to understand what you're going through or what you're feeling or even try to relate to something if they've not heard it. What we do in our backgrounds and our cultures and our faiths, if it's happened, it's embarrassing, it's a taboo subject, keep it to yourself. That's where we go wrong. I've lost loved ones that are very close to me in my family in horrible ways. I've seen firsthand people choosing not to understand what the issue is. But then when it does turn bad, they have no idea what to do with it. When you're in a dark space where you don't know where to turn, you don't know who to talk to, you feel like a failure, your thoughts drive you to a point where it doesn't even make sense to you anymore. With the industry that I work in, I'm constantly on camera, I'm constantly presenting. I can't explain how hard those times of my life were. I became so numb to the emotion. When the mic goes up, I have to do this, and when the mic goes down, I'm a mess. I cannot express how hard it is to put on that face when there's so much going on in your head, like every other person. And I think people sometimes forget that we're human too, and we live normal lives just like everybody else. Men don't cry. That needs to be wiped off planet Earth. Every person I've lost to that have all been male. That to me already screams problem. There's a problem there, especially to suicide. We all have questions. Naturally, the first thing that comes to your mind is, why did you do that? Regardless of how you feel, if you were shocked, not shocked, surprised, not surprised, whatever that might have been, you are asking why. People look for a single thing, but it's not necessarily a single thing. I've got to a point now where I've accepted that I'm not going to get the 100% answer. As a human being, everyone's got a heart. Men don't have rocks sat here. You will never release emotions or heal from certain things if you're not opening up.
It's my belief that too many societal problems persist because we keep relying on the same ways of thinking. Question the Default exists to challenge the norms that shape our society, dismantling the status quo and exploring better alternatives for how we live and manage our health and well-being. Question the Default is for those who are driven to create a better future. If this mission resonates with you, please consider subscribing, liking or sharing. Every single small action helps us on our mission. Thank you. Today's guest is Harpz Kaur, an award-winning British South Asian broadcaster and DJ, former BBC Asian Network breakfast host and Virgin Radio presenter. She built and carved her own way from local radio to national breakfast, and now uses her platform to talk about very frank and open conversations around mental health, depression and suicide. She talks about cultural taboos, but also losing loved ones to suicide in the way that she did. An incredibly powerful letter that she wrote on behalf of Calm, of which she's an ambassador to. It was such a moving letter reflecting on her own bereavement by suicide, what she wishes she could change and what she hopes for future generations. We all question a whole host of defaults, picking a proper job, men don't cry, and the idea that performers must be fine all of the time. We'll get into what real workplace support sounds and looks like, and how you rebuild when grief and pressure collide. If you're balancing culture, career, and mental health, this episode is most definitely for you. Harpz, thank you so much for your time on this episode. Harpz, thank you so much for being on Question the Default. How are you?
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, Harry. And I'm really excited to have this conversation because we don't have enough of it.
I know. And you've been someone that has been very honest, like from my research and the work that I've done to kind of look at your kind of honesty and vulnerability online in as many forms as you have done. And especially like the role of like TV and radio and your career alongside that. Was it always kind of TV and radio for you, or kind of what's that journey look like?
It's strange, actually, because I never know how to answer this question when I get asked, because I feel like from a young age, I always knew that I wanted to be on the radio, I wanted to be on TV, I wanted to be on a stage. Those kind of things excited me. But I think I kind of accidentally manifested it because there was no plan of how to get there. I never kind of thought about it over and over again of what's the route, what's the journey to actually become that person. It was just something I said a lot. I said it to my friends, I said it in school, in college. And when you just try and tell your mate like, oh, one day you're going to see my name in lights. No one really takes it that seriously. And I don't think I did either, to be fair. Manifestation, I'm huge on it now. I really do think I just spoke it into existence. And the rest is history.
As you would literally, that positive self-talk, you'd verbalize, name's going to be up in lights.
Absolutely. I feel like obviously you put the work into it, but I don't think I realized that was what my journey was going to be until I finished college. Because when you finish college, you have to then decide what the hell are you going to do with your entire life.
Yeah.
It's a big decision. And I didn't know what I wanted to do, to be honest, until I looked at that list of subjects. And the only thing that kept screaming out to me was media. And that was radio, TV, press, all of that jazz. And that was it. From that moment onwards, I never looked back, but I didn't realize how much work was actually going to go into it. It's not easy.
And what was the reaction like with like friends and family back in Yorkshire when you said, what, I want to go and do this?
Well, initially, I don't think it wasn't, I don't come from a very strict background, but culturally, it's not the norm what I'm doing. Especially back then when I first started. It was very unusual to see a brown girl saying, I want to go into media. So I just remember my dad looking at me going, okay, but what's your job going to be?
Right.
And I had no answer. So for me, it was like, I'm not quite sure what the job's going to be, but I know that I'm good at this. I've finally found what area I feel I shine in, because I wasn't great in the books. That doesn't mean don't go to school, because you must educate yourselves. But what I mean by that is I wasn't exactly the smartest in the classroom. I wasn't getting A's like my friends. And I struggled a little bit. So I didn't really know where I was going to fit in. But as you get older, I think it's so important not just to remember this, but to tell others as well, which is why I keep saying this. There's always something that you shine in. You just have to find what that is. It doesn't necessarily mean it has to be academically. It could be creative, in the creative world. And I never knew that was going to be something a lot of people would find hard to digest. So it wasn't something people stopped me from doing. I think I just got questioned a lot. Like, what are you going to do and why are you doing it? Why are you doing it? But having said that, the incredible career that I have had up till now, I can't tell you how proud my family and friends actually are. And those people that doubted me, the people that didn't know where my job was going to be, my dad had no idea where I was going to be. But when I got the breakfast show, which I did for 7 years, 5 years on weekday breakfast, he just literally overnight became my number one fan and never missed a single show. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, I just want to put out there that it doesn't matter how much someone might tell you it might not be the right thing, or we don't know where your end goal is, but if you don't get on the path, how will you ever know what the destination is?
And so much of the time it's like our friends and family are giving us that advice to protect us.
Absolutely.
Like, what are you going to do for your job then? It's not like, I don't believe in you, you can be the best version of yourself, but actually I'm kind of looking out for you as well. It's almost like, it's not a doubt, but like, it's like people's minds are a bit more
I think that's exactly
closed.
what my dad was doing at that point. It was more from a concern point, like, where are you going to go and are you going to be all right in this? I had no idea myself, but the world works in mysterious ways. And I think once you put your mind to something, you really can make it happen. I do believe that.
And it's amazing. So you were there, that you're looking at, okay, does anything stand out here? You look at the media, and then I'm sure it wasn't a completely smooth path getting to where you did and where probably a lot of people know you from or recognize you from. So what did that look like in your career?
It's crazy. Honestly, I still feel like I have to pinch myself sometimes that this is my life, because I can't believe in such a short space of time how much I've actually gone and done. I did not ever expect me to be running a breakfast show on a BBC platform. To me, that goal was so out of reach. I did local radio and things like that beforehand, and I knew that this is what I'm good at and I will get there somehow, but I didn't know where. I never applied for a job at BBC. I didn't know how to at that age. I didn't even know what the process was. But then to be headhunted and be seen and heard in certain places where you have no idea your life's about to change just blows my mind, because that's literally what happened to me. I got told actually to apply for the Asian Media Awards back in 2014, I think.
Okay.
Going back a very long time, showing my age. 2014 is where someone told me to go apply for these awards. And I remember looking at the categories online thinking, where do I fit? And they said, but you're a broadcast journalist. This is what you've done your degree in. We've got a new category now called Outstanding Young Journalist of the Year Award. So then I'm looking at old pictures and old footage from those awards just to see what kind of people attend. And when I saw the names that I saw, my head was just like, there's absolutely no way.
And who were these people that you went?
Like huge broadcasters that I'd looked up to. But they also had special guests in there. So they'd have people like Nihal, who a lot of you might recognize from 5 Live. But there was also people like Ross Kemp in the room as special guests. So my head was just thinking, why am I going to be in this room and what for? I didn't believe in myself, clearly. There was no self-confidence, zero self-esteem, until my friends and people around me said, what's the harm in just trying it? Just try it. So I had to submit 10 pieces of work, I think I remember, on the link. And there I am trying to dig really deep into all the kind of things that I had done. Got shortlisted down to the last 4, which again was like, what? This is not my life. What is happening? I attended the ceremony, took my family there. Didn't win, but obviously came out with a lot more. For me, I just didn't realize being in that room was so important, because all it took was one person, Nihal, who I just mentioned earlier, a huge inspiration for me, to be in the room, to recognize me, take me across the room to somebody else to have a chat, and me not having a clue who that person was until I left the room. He gave me his card. We just had a little chat oh, it's nice to hear about the things that you've done. Nihal speaks very highly of you. I'm just there going, but I don't even know Nihal that well. So why is he even speaking about me? That was my question I was about to ask. I had no idea about him. I just looked up to him as an idol, as a broadcaster. But for him to actually see something in me and go, I just want to introduce you to someone. Yeah. Not a lot of people do that. So sometimes when people say you're in the right place at the right time, I never used to believe it until I put it into my story, which I think I was in the right place at the right time. Yeah. But it doesn't necessarily mean I would have got to where I am without the work. No. So I think once I left that ceremony, I looked at the card that he gave me and I didn't realize it was the head of BBC Asia Network. And I'd never spoken to anyone of that, of that status. So for me, the whole journey home was just, oh my God, my life's about to change. And I didn't get a message till 6.5 months later. So you can only imagine in those 6 months how many things I broke and smashed. Hence when my depression first kicked in. It really did.
So it's almost like Nihal was thinking with his head on his heart, knowing if this introduction may take you a long way. But what he had seen, the presentation of the awards, so he had seen your work that way, or how?
It's a strange story, this. I'm glad you brought it up, because once I had graduated, I started to DJ just as a hobby on the side. And I thought, this is just something I want to learn. I've got so many friends in this field. Why not pick it up? Yeah. So I learned how to do that, got booked for a couple of gigs and started my own YouTube channel. And at that time, I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. I just found a tool to kind of show what I do. Because back then there was no Instagram. I think I only used YouTube and maybe Twitter. And that was it. So in terms of where we are now with social media, it was nothing like this back then. So I'd put out some mixes here and there on my YouTube channel, actually SoundCloud as well. I posted some mixes and Nihal picked it up from there. So he must have seen a link somewhere, messaged me and said, I'd love to have you on as our female guest as a DJ on my last Radio 1 show. He was on Radio 1 back then. And I honestly thought I was being scammed. This was a fake profile. Why are you messaging me? Why would this happen? So obviously I replied back and I was like, oh, thank you so much for recognizing. But is this really for Radio 1? And we had a whole conversation and I was like, wow. So I submitted this mix. It got played on his last show and we never spoke again. So that was it until I saw him at the Asian Media Awards in 2014. And that, for me, was just the fact that you remember me from just one mix that you played, but saw something in me. I don't know what it was. Maybe he did see some of my work somewhere. We never really had that conversation of what he saw, but it happened for a reason.
You created your own luck within that.
Yeah.
You create your own luck, and there's also hard work, and then
Yeah.
there's like those one or two people there in those early days that actually believed completely.
Absolutely.
And we don't know the person who actually said for you to go for the awards in the first place. I'm sure
No, like again, just someone on Facebook, someone
wow.
who'd followed my work. This is what I mean. My story is it's quite crazy to me because they're not people that were like that close to me or in my circle or part of my support system or even family. It was nothing like that. I just feel there were a lot of people watching me from the sidelines and I just didn't realize. I don't think I realized that so many people cared about the stuff that I was putting out or the stuff that I was working on.
It's and I don't want to make sure that I did hear when you said that's when your depression started in that 6 months. I have not missed that point. But what was your life like before all of this? Like I'm trying to picture
this is very important actually, because I feel this is the part that gets missed out of my story a lot when people guess what it is, because obviously everybody thinks when you're so successful and you're posting things that look great, look glam, because this industry is like that. Everything looks like it's shiny and she must be living an amazing life. And of course, I've got some amazing opportunities, incredible moments that I'll remember for the rest of my life. I'm very lucky to call this my job too. But people have no idea what goes on behind the scenes, what you're really like behind closed doors, maybe some of those struggles that you don't talk about. And everybody does have a story. But this is the part I think people just don't understand can happen. Like for me, after graduating, I had no job for 6 years. I was making no money for 6 years. I was doing local radio. It was voluntary, so never got a penny for that. But having said that, as much as I was frustrated during that period of I'm not making anything, like I was 22, 23, 24, no money in my bank. Like it's not normal when you're surrounded by the people who have got great jobs and gone on to do great things. But for me, it was bittersweet because I was annoyed I didn't have the income, but I was so happy that I'd found a space that made me feel free. I felt like I realized this is what I was born to do. I kind of used it like my playground. I learned so much in those years. So there's a massive positive that's come out of it. But having said that, because I was a broadcast journalist, by name after my degree, I tried to get a lot of freelance shifts in news. So I traveled a lot up and down the country. But if you've freelanced before, I'm sure we all know it's not an easy life. It's not, what I mean by that is you don't have routine. And I really struggled with that. Like sometimes I would get shifts for 2 weeks, but then I'd be off for like 6 months. Like you just don't know when you'd get that work. So was I making money? No, I was making peanuts. Could I just about afford a shopping trip one weekend? Yeah, it felt like that. But those moments for me after graduating and not getting a job for 6-7 years was hell. And I can't tell you like how badly it affected my mental health, because even though I tried so hard to pick myself up every day going, but I know what I want to do. I know what I want to do. But not seeing anything happen and sending so many emails and getting rejections, and everyone knows what it feels like when that door closes and you just keep knocking, thinking, why is this not happening to me? And then to get so close by getting this card by someone and you go home and you realize who you just spoke to, but you haven't got a message. My head was just going, why am I now this close? It was like I was being teased by someone going, we'll give you it, but we're not going to give you it because we haven't messaged you yet. It really drove me off the rails quite badly, actually. And that might not necessarily be the case for a lot of people. I know not everyone feels like that, but I really didn't take to it too well. I think my head was going, maybe my dad was right. Maybe I should have gone for something else.
And would you hear his voice almost like telling you that? Like...
And even though it wasn't happening, I could hear it in my own head. Exactly what you just said. That's exactly how I felt. Like, maybe I just wasn't supposed to do this. I've worked so hard. You know, I did struggle a lot at uni during the course as well. It was difficult. It's not easy. But I put my heart and soul into it. So when someone's telling you at uni that you're guaranteed a job at the end of this, of course you go on and do a master's, which is what I did. But I still was left with, where am I going with this and what am I doing and have I just wasted years of my life. So it was hard. And I think the person I am now, I'm very different. I did not deal with it very well back then. I didn't go for help. I didn't know what to do. I didn't have those conversations that now I talk about so much.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I do it, because I'm trying to fill the void of a feeling I had so long ago, which I just feel like I need to do something about it. I don't know if I'm doing it for closure. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
But
that's really interesting, isn't it? Like there's like a double benefit, right?
Yeah.
There's people that are probably applying for multiple jobs now, whether it's in your industry or not in your industry, trying to keep some hope every single email or every single interview, whatever it might be, but also the doubts of other people's kind of milestone expectations in their head. But actually there's a lot to be said around what you said. It was actually just you were free in that outlet of doing what you actually loved to do and wanted to do for a long, long time. And that was one, it would be interesting what would happen in your career if you didn't do that unpaid volunteering, work.
I mean, I've never thought of it like that, actually, and it's a good point, because I don't know where I actually would have ended up if I didn't keep pursuing what I wanted to do, because that is what it was. I just didn't give up.
Yeah.
Yes, I had a lot of days where I wanted to throw it out the window and just giving up on everything, thinking, what am I actually doing in my life? There were definitely days like that, hence why I fell off the rails. But there must have been some sort of ambition, passion, drive, determination inside of me that just wouldn't let it go. I just didn't want to let it go. Because to me, it was like, this is what makes me happy. I love doing this. I love going on the radio every week. I live and breathe music. Entertainment is my life. So I have to make this happen. But then I'd get frustrated again. So for me, if I was to think what would have happened if I didn't quite do that, I'm not actually quite sure. Because I think the space that I was in, it was so bad. I don't know what I would have done with myself. I actually don't. It's quite scary, actually. I was in a very dark place. Anything could have happened.
And what do you mean by that?
I feel like because I put myself down so much during that phase, when you're in a dark space where you don't know where to turn, you don't know who to talk to, you feel like a failure, your thoughts drive you insane to a point where it doesn't even make sense to you anymore. Nothing made sense to me at that point. I felt so lost. I felt so low. I tried to maybe look for things that would try and make me happy or would normally make me feel good, but nothing kind of worked. So I just don't know if I lost that drive to do it. I don't know if I would have just made myself worse. Would I have got really ill? Would I even be here? I don't know.
It's quite sad, isn't it, to think how like smaller moments could have put you on a different trajectory,
100%.
like wildly different trajectory. And so that period of time then before you got offered the dream job, I say dream job, I guess I'm not putting words in your mouth, but I sense it as a dream job, right? Like the mental health difficulties and challenges that you faced and that kind of period of low mood and questioning yourself and doubting yourself, were people around you seeing this, and how did you get any support?
Is this prior to the job or like
prior to the job?
I think they did, but again, no one really knew what to do or how to handle it. Now, I don't know if that's down to lack of educating yourself on a certain area. Is it something that people ignore on purpose? Is it intentional? I don't have the right answer, but what I will say is, I think, again, I'm going to bring it back to my culture as well, because culturally, I don't think mental health is something that's really taken too seriously anyway. Okay. It is a stereotype. It is it's a taboo subject, I feel, that my culture don't really like to talk about. And I'm still trying to work out whether it's you don't understand it, you don't want to understand it. They're two very different things. Not understanding it and not wanting to understand it, I feel there's a big difference there. So someone can't just turn around and go, I don't know enough about it. But why don't you want to learn more about it? Because it is a thing. I think my culture really tries to emphasize mental health in ways of kind of comparing it to just someone that's stressed and just, you've got a problem today, but we all have it. It's treated in that way. So I'm probably not using the right words to describe it.
This is your experience though, right? Like
I'm just trying to explain how we're made to feel. I feel like if I was to now say to my mum and dad, I feel like I've gone into depression, just hypothetically speaking. I feel like I'm depressed. I'm not eating properly, not sleeping properly. I'm not speaking to people. I'm staying in my room. All these little signs that usually we would see as it's a problem.
Yeah.
To them, and it's no one's to blame. I just feel like to them it would look like, okay, but we all have problems. I have problems. I stress, but you'll be fine tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, get over it, or stop being so down about it. I just feel like they don't really get that this is a condition that can spiral so much to a point where if it turns out bad, you're not going to have a clue what the hell to do with it. And hence why I work with Calm.
Yeah.
Because I've lost so many people, 5 to 6 loved ones that are very close to me in my family or in my support system that I've lost in horrible ways. Although obviously it's not nice to lose anyone in any sort of way, but to lose them in ways where it makes me sad inside that you chose to do that because you couldn't speak, because you felt trapped, because you didn't feel heard, you didn't feel understood. Like, that's what bugs me. So I think because I've experienced it, maybe not to the extent of certain cases, but I've experienced it myself. I've seen it around me. I've seen it, very close to me with other people, where I've seen firsthand people choosing not to understand what the issue is. But then when it does turn bad and it does go down a route that you wouldn't ever hope, they have no idea what to do with it. And then it becomes a blame game. But we don't need to get to that.
Yeah.
It should never have got to that. So I think that's why, for me, it's just really important to keep stressing that it doesn't matter what background, faith you come from. If you are struggling in a certain way, you're struggling because any human being can struggle like that. It's got nothing to do with anything
And it's
else.
a very normal thing to experience.
Very normal.
And I'm really interested in the first bit you said it around, you don't know why it is, whether it's people not understanding or choosing not to understand. Can you kind of dig into that? Like, what do you think it is?
I think personally it's a little bit of both.
Okay.
And I think there's a little bit of ignorance. I think it's avoided because there's a very can't be bothered attitude.
Okay.
I feel like, again, like I'm saying, it's not in every case. It's just I feel majority of the time this is what it comes across like to me.
Yeah.
Is because you can't be bothered to educate yourself in this or really understand it as a serious problem or a condition. They feel I don't know if they feel embarrassed about talking about it as well, because if I was to just turn around and go, this is what happened to me today and I'm choosing not to leave my room for a couple of days, I think to them it's weird behavior, but they still choose not to understand why I actually might be doing that. There's got to be a reason someone is doing that. You don't do it for fun. I don't think people enjoy sitting alone.
No.
Wherever that is. I mean, I'm just using this as an example, but wherever you are sat alone, crying, being at your lowest point, someone has surely got to feel a certain way to be doing that. No one does that for the sake of doing it. So I think I don't have the perfect answer because even I am still trying to figure this out, but I do believe and I do think it's a lot to do with there's just a huge lack of education here because they've not really been taught that ever. That generation in particular above us have no idea about the severeness or the danger around being in that bubble because they've never been taught it. They've never had that around them. They've never had things to help them with either. So to a certain extent, is it their fault? I don't know. But will I blame you now for not changing that mindset? Yeah, because it's never too late to understand it. You can change that today if you want to. But
there's not enough drive, even though there's very real issues happening, that's what it is. I feel.
I don't think it's really clicked yet that this is an issue. But yet the frustration I have is it's happening so much now. More than ever, really, in my world, any of my 35 years of living, I feel like in the past 10 years, I hear this a lot now. Maybe not so much when I was growing up, but now it's like I hear it all the time, whether it's close to me, far from me, in the news, something I'm reading. It's just, why is it happening so much? Well, something needs to change. Something needs to happen.
If, let's say, and you're not a magician, but I'm going to ask you this question anyway.
Yeah.
Let's say we did nothing, and then 30, 40 years down the line, that generation are most likely not going to be here.
Yeah.
it be different if we did nothing and we just lived and kept the same routine? Are the people of this generation of your age now, would they be any different?
Great question. Great question. I'm not sure, I feel like maybe we would be different to them. I don't think we'd do what they do because we're still a little bit more aware of it in certain ways, whether that's being taught in schools or, we have access to things like this. We have platforms that we can listen to send this message across now, which was not done enough back then at all.
Yeah.
It might have been there, but it's very rare. Like you had to probably dig deep to go find it, is what I'm saying. So maybe we'd be a little bit different to them. But yeah, you're right. Maybe if we didn't do anything and in 40 years' time we sat here having the same conversation, would it still be the same? Possibly. But I just don't think it would be to the extent.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be that bad as I think that older generation deal with it.
This episode is brought to you in support of Calm, the campaign against living miserably. Calm is a leading UK suicide prevention charity on a mission to help people end their misery, not their lives. We both do things differently. We both know we need to change the conversation around suicide, and that's why together we're both creating space to question the defaults that shape the way we think, feel, and talk about suicide and mental health. We're opening up conversations that remind people, whatever you are facing, you're not alone. Calm has loads of tools and resources available to anyone online to help you find the support that you need, including a life-saving helpline for people open every day from 5 p.m. to midnight, as well as vital online resources for anyone who needs them. So if you or someone you know needs to talk, please visit thecalmzone.net. Thank you for being part of this. And of course, today we may touch on conversations about suicide in this episode. Together, we can question the defaults that keep people silent, smash the stigma around suicide, and help build a world where no one has to face this alone. Thank you. Yeah, I really hear you, although I do not come from the same culture. I can definitely relate to the point that you said around the fact that people have choice now in what they do.
Yeah.
This shouldn't take what I've just described to wait 30, 40 years down the line. Actually, if we're seeing this in our eyes with people who have a huge amount of success, it's quite scary, the thought that actually if you were to say, I am feeling depressed, or I have a diagnosis of clinical depression, and actually people wouldn't understand you even now, is worrying for those people that have never been open of your culture, that have nothing in terms of that level of support. And, what we know is that obviously when it comes to suicide, that actually that kind of first level of response is absolutely crucial. When someone explains that actually, how you did earlier, but actually I don't know where I would have been if certain those things had happened. Who knows what your life would have been like. For some people, like the ability to have any hope during that moment is actually so minimal. And actually the few things that people have tends to be friends or family, or at least one member that can do something. So actually that is our biggest support, I think.
Absolutely.
And how can we change it now then?
I think we're on the right lines, and I think a lot's been done, a lot's been happening and changing over the past couple of years in a great way.
Okay.
Like I said earlier as well, like platforms that having access to things like technology, the internet, platforms where we can reach out to as well, even if we wanted to know more. We have all that now. There's absolutely no excuse in this day and age, I think, for you to not reach out for help. I don't believe that someone can turn around and say in today's day and age that I still don't know where to go. Yes, there are places to go. That doesn't mean that I'm saying I don't understand your household. Maybe your household is somewhere where you can't go. That's fine. Yeah. Maybe you don't have enough friends where you can trust in them, rely on them, or seek that advice. That's fine too. I understand that. But what is stopping you from going that extra mile of doing a quick search? We've all got access to that. We've all got time to research something. If you've got time to go out and hang out with your friends, and you've got time to go out and do a little shopping spree, and you've got time to sit down and watch your favorite program on Netflix, you have got time to do a quick search in figuring out, is there someone out there that maybe I don't know that I can speak to? I just feel like now we're not in a time where someone can go, but I didn't know where to go. I don't know what to do. I understand why you might feel like that, but you can't say that you don't have anything out there that can help you. Because I think there's a lot of people doing some great work, so many charities out there that are constantly putting themselves out there as well, that we are here for you. us working with Calm so closely as well, like that's what's drawn me in, is that if I can use my voice on that platform too, because of my own experiences, it's worth a shot.
Yeah.
I don't know if...
And you're in such an amazing level of influence, right? Because you know that your voice,
absolutely.
regardless what job you're doing over the years or now or in the future.
Yeah, because you don't know who you're helping. You have not... I don't even know if I've helped someone in the work that I've done for them. But I believe inside that it takes one person to read something, hear something, and something could change. I do believe that.
But no, I totally hear you. It's a problem that we need to look at in terms of, are people getting the right level of education when it comes to this topic? And some people don't have supportive friends and family, but charities are out there. But are we reaching them, do you think?
I think you said something really, really powerful there, and I think that is the answer. Our level of responsibility. If they can't reach out to platforms like this, if they can't have access to this, like you said, if it's limited, then we still have a responsibility, but in a different way. Why can't we do this word of mouth? Why can't we speak to our loved ones and our friends? If we're aware of it, like with me and yourself, and I'm just speaking on behalf of you as well, because I feel like you also fit into this with the work we're doing. We are aware of these things. We're aware that these things are happening. It can get very dangerous if you don't do anything about it. So people that are aware and have that understanding, what's stopping us from having those conversations just freely sometimes with our friends and family? Why don't we just one day want to bring this up? And it doesn't have to be necessarily in a negative way. I don't think that means you have to sit there and go, look, I've just lost somebody because of this, You can do that. But even if you haven't and you're aware, there is no harm in trying to figure out ways of discussing this with people that matter to you, because how do you know where that conversation is going to go next? We all on a daily basis say something to someone. You might pick something up from that and pass it on to someone else. They'll pick something up from that. This is what happens. We're all just constantly talking and picking up things from one another, hopefully learning things every day too. So what is stopping us from having these kind of conversations and thinking that's worth a shot too? I would love to try and bring up these deep conversations with anyone at any given point where I feel I can and I've got the opportunity to drop something here. I would love to do that, because I will never know if that's helped someone or how far it's taken you or if it's changed your life. I will never know that. But I will get satisfaction and sleep peacefully at night knowing that if I felt some sort of off vibe or some negative energy or some low kind of aura around someone, and I just felt like I needed to say something, I'm going to feel better about that just as a person, because I tried to say or do what I felt I needed to do at that point. So you're right. If people don't have that access and it's limited, then change it. You can still talk about it.
And what do you think thinking about your culture, what could be really interesting forums to get this type of education to more people? I'm imagining podcasts is a really good one, but like, what else could we do? Yeah,
I don't think we have enough of that anyway. I know people are doing it. Maybe we definitely need more of that. But I think we need more real life, true stories, honest experiences of people coming forward and talking about it. This happens a lot in my culture. Hence why I keep saying I'm working with Calm, because the people I've lost are people from these backgrounds. And so if I'm seeing it happen around me so closely, and I'm still seeing, people going through that and feeling like that, then we as a culture, we as a community also need to figure out, how do we do this then? It's not going to happen until you don't have the confidence to sit wherever that may be, on a stage with a person in, like for coffee, on a platform, wherever that might be. Why are you not speaking honestly about what you've gone through? Because what I've realized is what we do in our backgrounds and our cultures and our faiths, if it's happened, it's embarrassing, it's a taboo subject, keep it to yourself. That's where we go wrong. Because no one's ever going to understand what you're going through or what you're feeling or even try to relate to something if they've not heard it. Which is why I think with me, I never spoke about my experiences up until a couple of years ago as well, really, if I'm honest. But that's why I'm doing it now. I'm doing it because I've switched my mindset and going, this is a really tough thing to talk about. It's really hard. having lost people, but also being on the other end as well of almost wanting to do that as well. Like, I know what that feels like. So why can I not tell people that's really happened to me?
And you're saying it with such a huge amount of like passion. It's almost like some frustration.
Yeah, and I think it's because I'm so angry.
It's like you talk about why you're doing it is a bit of closure, helping others, but actually you've lost real human beings that you love. And I can relate to, I don't have the religious context and framing that you do and most of the cultural points, but the similarity I drew as you were sharing is that I hid the fact that my dad died by suicide for 10 years. I went through different environments where I was conforming on what it was to be a guy in those environments, like dating, playing football, classic, macho traits. And I grew up in southwest England, in Cornwall. It was very high macho male characteristics on shows. So like vulnerability and being open was just not something you do in those sporting environments and those very rural environments because you would just get looked on. It'd be odd to do it. But what changed, is where I'm drawing it back to what you shared then around stories, is that I then went to moments where I saw other people that I looked up to sharing their stories. And this for me was people in the sporting world and people in actually the world of business, mainly sport though. And there was a guy called Leon Mackenzie. He was, I don't know if you know Leon, famous football player, then turned boxer, like, known sports person, talking vulnerably, writing books, book on the bookshelf around mental health and suicide. And then you're like, actually, that person I went to go and watch playing football is then talking like that. Actually, I think I might be able to do it. And then I went to a talk. I'm into business as well. There's a guy called Charlie Green. He's the CEO of the Office Group, a big business. And he talked very openly about his mental health struggles. So then I had football, business, role model, two men.
That's what
talking.
I mean.
So what you're doing is incredible because people will listen to you. Are there other people in your culture trying to make this happen?
That's exactly the point I was making as well.
Right.
Like if you can hear those real life stories, especially like you said from idols, people that you look up to, and they're talking about it, of course you're going to get drawn in straight away. Because you watch these people, you listen to these people all the time. So now you've seen them in a different light and you've gone, wait a minute. Oh, that's unbelievable, because you just wouldn't ever believe that person to have experienced that, because why would you? You just wouldn't. So back to this, I think there probably are a few that are trying now. And like I said, we are moving in the right direction. I just don't think we're moving at the pace or the speed that we should be, because we're still quite far behind, and we need more of that. So I know I'm not exactly the biggest star that everybody's going to be looking and listening to on this side of the world. But if I know I've got a good enough reach and a lot of people following and listening to the stuff that I do and watch my work, then I'm going to use every opportunity to try and use my voice wherever I can. So I think, yes, there's a few, there's not enough. I'd love to be one of them, because if I can help someone, then I would love to. Because, and very strangely, I just want to point, after you said you were always surrounded by these strong male characteristics as well. It's funny because every person I've lost to that have all been male. And that was another thing that I really struggled to digest, was it's so sad to see it happen to more men than what you would usually hear, because that to me already screams problem. There's a problem there. And for me, the only answer I have for that is because men are always taught to man up. You're not supposed to cry. They're taught that their whole life. I feel like we're wired that way. But there's no rule in any book that says men shouldn't cry. It's not written anywhere. It's almost like it's man-made, and we've just assumed this thing should be a rule on life when you're living this gift that we've got. But mentally and subconsciously in our brains, we just have this thing there that says, but men shouldn't cry. You're not supposed to cry. You're supposed to be the tough one, the strong one. But why?
Yeah.
And I think because I've lost people that have all been male in such horrific ways makes me sad that, going back to the beginning of this conversation, it's because they don't they don't talk, they don't want to talk, and it's because they've been taught not to. I believe that is a major part of why men really struggle to open up.
I find it really fascinating, this idea, because 75% of suicides on average are male.
Yeah.
Most countries, of course, there's differences, but on the whole, 3/4 of suicides are male. And I sometimes think about this kind of like man up, don't speak, and where it is learned, if that makes sense. Because I sometimes think, I go back to my kind of childhood. Was anyone telling me not to cry, man up, don't be shy, you can do it? This kind of, I don't think so, but I think I saw other people do it. Okay. Therefore, I learned it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then I try and think now, like I recently became a parent, so I was thinking like, how do I then make sure that, my children are able to like be open and honest, and when they cry, I don't say these words, so they don't learn that. And then I think to myself, like, I can't imagine then doing the thing that I know is happening elsewhere. Yeah. Like, do you think that is happening? Like, people are saying, don't worry, you don't need to cry, to like young children.
I think
in your
maybe,
culture.
Again, I'm talking culturally, because I think growing up for me, I've definitely seen that and I've heard it. Whether it was serious or not, those words are quite powerful when someone says to someone, doesn't matter what age you're at. You could be 10, you could be 15, children. You could be 25.
Yeah.
Like, it's still something that's, your brain's going to go, okay.
Totally.
Yeah, like if someone turned around to me and just said, you're not supposed to cry, don't cry. Come on. Like, or I've heard this as well, though. Like, I've seen it myself. Man up. Like, you're not supposed to be like that. Come on. Or like, you're the man of the house. I've actually,
that line.
Yeah, and I've asked people, after losing people, I've asked certain close friends of mine, family of mine that are male, just for a bit of insight into their brains. And I wasn't working on anything. I wasn't doing this research for anything, just myself.
Yeah.
I was just trying to figure it out. And I remember asking one of my friends who's male, and I said, have you ever been made to feel in your life that you can't cry or that you can't talk or you're not supposed to be a certain type of way? And his answer to that was, and it was shocking because this is just one person I've asked, but I still remember his answer going, yeah, but that's what you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be the man of the house. And he was so confident in saying that it wasn't a problem in his head. And I went, but why do you think that? Why do you feel that you should take on the weight of the world because you're male? I don't understand that concept. Yeah. Like, as a human being, we're all given organs. Everyone's got a heart. Men don't have rocks sat here. And I don't believe that you should be, and I agree with you, it's not necessarily something that needs to be said to you. Yeah. It might be something you've seen. So you just assume that's how I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so you're right in that actually. And I should have said it that way too. It's not necessarily something that needs to be said. You can see it. Yeah. And I think when you get that that image or that perception of someone around you, you kind of take it on yourself going,
100%.
That's what you're supposed to be like. But when I heard my friend actually answer the question by saying, because he's lost his dad.
Okay.
And he's been taught to man up, be a man, be the man of the house. Yeah, of course I'm tough. Why would I want to cry? My head was blown because I just couldn't believe that I've only asked one person and you were so confident in saying that. And I just don't like that we're not maybe helping men enough to understand and realize that it's okay, to talk about it. It's all right if you want to cry. You don't have to cry in front of everyone, but it's all right if you want to pull someone to a side for a minute and just let it all out. Unless, I don't know what it is. Do they feel they're going to get laughed at? Is it embarrassing? I don't know. But I think I'm just struggling to understand, why do you feel that way? You will never release emotions or heal from certain things if you're not opening up. Even as women, and myself too, I don't necessarily just have a problem and speak about it today because I might not be ready for it. I'll be going through all 50 different emotions, which doesn't get me to that point straight away. But women are wired so differently because we will eventually talk to someone because we can't keep it in. We can't. We just will eventually, if it's days, weeks, hours, years, eventually we're going to speak to someone because we just can't hold it. But I feel there's a reason men are the way they are in terms of that thinking, because someone or something around you is making you feel you need to be like that. That's what needs to stop.
So much comes to that point around like protecting
that needs
the
to
house.
Stop.
The breadwinner type mentality. I think there are multiple other factors, of course. It's not singular. It's like what I'm saying, but I do think that association of being the man of the house therefore comes of strength and therefore vulnerability doesn't ladder into that kind of persona. So I want to come on to now a few points that you have mentioned, and I wanted to kind of make sure that we dedicated time to your work with Calm, and like take moments if you need to, because I know it's kind of very like very emotional topics for you, and you have spoken about this. But I would, if you don't mind, do you mind if I read a couple of bits that you wrote as part of a letter?
Please do.
So actually, maybe before I do so, like, how did this come about? Why did you decide to write this letter for Calm?
I think it's a lot of things that I've been holding back within myself. There's a lot in that letter that I think about all the time, but maybe not shared it. I myself have probably not really opened up about it to the extent that I should have.
Mm-hmm.
So when Calm approached me initially to work with them, I looked up at what they did, and obviously just the name speaks for itself. A campaign against living miserably. It just related to me so much. Just reading those words were like, okay, I get that feeling. I know what that feels like. So I read up about it. I looked at some of the stuff they did, and they reached out to write this letter. And I did think about it, because at first I thought this is not going to be easy at all, because I've not really opened up about it anyway. I might speak to people in my own bubble, but I don't publicly or openly speak about this to put it out there. And like I said before, there's not enough in my world that people do this. They just don't do it. So then I thought, am I going to be looked at differently? Am I going to be judged? Am I going to be seen in a different way? I don't know. Those questions
These came through your head. Wow.
All of that did, because I kept thinking, I don't see it enough, but if I talk about it, will people change their perception on me? And that's really sad that I thought like that. Now that I think about it, because I'm so much stronger.
Yeah, now that you're talking in the way that you are.
Now I'm so much stronger. I'm just like, that's so sad that I even thought like that. But then I gave myself the benefit of the doubt, and I thought, actually, why don't you just write it, put down what you feel, and then think about it afterwards if you want to put it out there or not. That's exactly how I did it. So I just wrote it and thought nothing of it. I just thought, don't take this seriously that it's going to be announced somewhere tomorrow, because that gives pressure too. But I just wanted to write it out and just see how I felt at the end of it. But when I wrote it, I cried a lot. It took me ages to make the decision whether I wanted to share it. It did. I think I held it close to me for a while. And I do remember the back and forth with Calm quite a bit, going, no, I've done it. Just not ready yet. But they were so good with me as well at the same time that this is the whole point of why we do it. There's no timeline or rush on things like this. We're ready whenever you are. And there did come that day where I thought, actually, I'm just going to do it. What is the worst that could actually happen if I do put this out there? Because people have lost, they're not coming back. That's not going to happen. So what's the worst that can happen? There's nothing worse than that.
What I love about it is that it's, I'm going to read out a few snippets in a moment, is that it's about the people that you've lost, but also about you and like your journey alongside that. And I'm really intrigued. I don't know if you even know this, like why Calm reached out to you. Did you post online about a loss of
it's
a loved
weird.
one?
I think it must have been around the time where I did post about losing someone. But I also do remember, I didn't do it a lot, and I definitely didn't do it enough for it to be picked up on. But I do remember being on a podcast for something else where I agreed to talk about mental health in general. And I had a conversation with someone from Calm off mic. Just about what they did. And I mentioned it there. So I think from that point, again, like I said, it's so important to open up, because just that one person can be like, can you do this more? And I was like, yeah, actually, why not? But then when they approached me about the letter, and I really deeped, like, this is quite powerful, and I've never written a letter to myself. How was I going to feel? I felt everything. I felt every emotion, but I'm so, so happy that I did it.
And I love it because you're actually smiling. And you're like wearing bright colours, there's flowers around, it feels like hopeful, which I also think adds to it. So obviously Calm's message is, yes, the campaign against living misery, but it's about a hopeful message that actually we can build a movement to help prevent suicide. So I want to read this bit. So we all dread conversations about losing someone, whether you are the one to deliver the news or the one to receive it. Either way, it's not easy. Those moments don't come with instructions on how to deal with them. And losing someone to suicide is a grief like no other, but know this, you'll get through it. To get yourself into that headspace, and you've lost, sadly, a number of people to suicide, and what we know is that people who lose people to suicide are at greater risk of also dying by suicide. How was it received, this particular part, where actually you're trying to give hope here to people that have just lost someone. Did you receive comments and reflections back?
I'm really surprised how positive the response was for me because I was so scared. I was worried about that. Like, what were people going to say off the back of this and how were they going to take it? But I was just so taken back by how thankful and how grateful people were for me to open up. Every message that I had seen anyway, I mean, I'm sure there might be some I've missed, but the ones that I had seen and read, my DMs, people that had, you know, directly messaged me about certain experiences and stories and how they felt. Every message I read once that letter came out was so overwhelming. I can't explain how overwhelming it was that I actually couldn't read all of them because it was a lot for me to take in. But there were tears of joy in such a weird way. I don't know how to explain it because it sounds odd me saying that off the back of a letter like this. But I was crying every day when I'd read a message and something would really hit me because all of them were just like, thank you so much for sharing this because I've been through this. I've lost so-and-so. I never got help. I was never brave enough to talk about it. All sorts of different comments being made. And all of that was what was in my head before doing this letter. If I take it all back, that's why I did this because we're not talking about it. But look how me posting one video of sharing a letter that I was writing to myself of my feelings and how I feel so strongly about it now, it just opened up a can of, not even worms, it opened a can of positivity in people's lives, which just gave them a little bit of hope that someone else has just spoke about something I've been through. And I've never got to speak to anyone about it. If I can do just that much, that's enough for me.
Yeah, definitely. And it's almost like you created I've described in the past as like a club that nobody wants to be in.
Yeah.
And like, but when you're in it, you realize actually a lot of other people are also in it. And sadly, as much as people don't want to be in it, it is there. And other people also share that similar pain and grief, but it's so incredibly unspoken about that it feels so isolating. And what I can relate to from a personal experience and many others I've spoke to is that there tends to be this kind of trying to make sense of the loss when someone dies by suicide, and it's very hard to do that. It's very natural to do that. But at the same time, my personal opinion is that people try to find a single reason.
Yeah.
And that's my personal reflection. And following this sentence, the way you said you are seeking answers for an impossible question, you put, the reality is nobody will ever know the truth apart from the person you wish you could hear from the most. It's hard to hear, but maybe looking for answers isn't the solution. Learning to find ways to move forward is what you need right now. I don't think there's so much tied up in all of this. I think that's the most powerful part of
I forgot I wrote
letter.
that as well. Yeah. I still stand by that.
Yeah.
I really do still stand by that. I just feel we all, especially to suicide, we all have questions. Naturally, the first thing that comes to your mind is, why did you do that? Regardless of how you feel, if you were shocked, not shocked, surprised, not surprised, whatever that might have been, you are asking why. Because everybody wants to know why. That's not something someone just does for the sake of it. You don't just wake up one morning and go, this is what I'm going to do. You don't do that. So everybody wants to know why. There's always a reason why someone's done it. And when I've lost those people, I've thought about it. I've thought about it again. And I suspect things. I guess things. But who's told me that I'm going to get the exact answer to why that happened? No one's going to give me that. And I do believe that I'm not going to ever know that. I might get close to it. I might be very close to it. I might even have a very good idea about it. But do I really know what you were thinking at the time of when you did it? No, I don't. And what I'm trying to say, I guess, is it's so normal for us to think like that and we dwell on that and we hold that part inside of us so closely because we feel we are never going to be all right with this until I don't understand why you did it. But what I guess I'm trying to explain is, unless you were there, which I know it's quite dark to talk about, but like, unless you were there to see it happen or why it happened, you are never going to get the answer that you're probably looking for. So maybe it is best to kind of focus on, how do I move on from this? Maybe that's where I got in my life. This is just my perspective, that I've never got those answers I've been looking for. I don't know why those those people did that. I'm close with some of the answers. I am quite close. Like, I will know that certain people just never had the confidence. Certain people felt like they needed to be the man of the house. Certain people felt there were pressures that took over and they just couldn't handle it. Like, there's so many things.
Yeah.
Like you said before as well, there's people look for a single thing, but it's not necessarily a single thing. There's so many factors that pile up. Yeah. But I'm just saying, where are you actually going to find every answer? So I'm just trying to help, I guess, in the process of dealing with it.
Of healing and grief. Not you can heal, but
to find a coping mechanism, which for me is now I've accepted it, and that takes a lot as well. It takes a lot of time to get to the point of acceptance, and I think I've got to a point now where I've accepted that I'm not going to get the 100% answer. Yeah, but I'm fine with that now. But I need to know, how do I deal with this grief to move on? Because I also don't want to stay in this rut either, where every night and every day is the same conversation in my head. I can't do that.
Because obviously now you talk with high level passion, honesty, vulnerability. But if you took this same conversation and you were at dinner table back in Yorkshire, would you talk about suicide in this way?
I think now I would. Now I'm quite confident in going, if you wanted to speak about it, yeah, why not?
Amazing.
I think it hurts, and there's a lot that I sometimes still keep inside because a part of me just doesn't want to feel that pain again. But I'm also the person that I'll do it in my own time now. I don't bottle it up forever, because I've been through a phase of where you hold it and then you think, okay, it's just got to stay there. No, you can hold it for a bit, depending on what you're doing. Like, even in our working field, like, my God, has this been so hard for me to deal with the industry that I work in. I'm constantly on camera. I'm constantly presenting, you know, especially when I did the kids' TV show. Like, how hard is it to go through something like that, but then not be able to change things so quickly? In our world, it just doesn't work like that. And then to do 3 hours of live TV for kids. Like, I can't explain how hard those times of my life were. So now I'm just thinking, yeah, it's hard to do that, but it's all right, Harpz, if you want to just take a break afterwards and cry your eyes out for 15, 20 minutes or whatever it is, do it. But before I'd hold it, it was always like, because I held it for camera, I'm now going to hold it here, and I'm going to hold it home, and I'm going to hold it to sleep, and I'm going to hold it in the morning. No. That's where you go wrong. You struggle more, you suffer more until you don't release. I honestly just want people to know it's all right to cry. Please stop thinking it's a bad thing. We laugh, don't we? We get excited. We have adrenaline. We're angry. We're frustrated. We have all these emotions. But when it comes to crying, it's a problem. And that needs to stop. It just needs to stop.
It's a really sad thought that actually you were showing up live to probably hundreds of thousands of children, 3 hours live. I'm imagining charismatic, bubbly, fun, jokey. But actually, all you had in your back of your mind was that. Have you ever looked back at those clips and where the moments that you had?
Yep.
Is that hard? Can you see that in? I'm sure nobody else can.
Yeah, because I imagine waking up at 4 a.m. firstly, which is already so hard to do. Waking up at 4, doing a breakfast show the full week, then catching a flight to Glasgow to go and do live TV for kids. This was my life constantly, every day. 7 days a week, like no days off, 4 a.m. every day, whether that was getting up to do the breakfast show or getting up to be in my hair and makeup and be in rehearsals. Just to give a little insight as to what it looked like. So waking up early in itself is a struggle. Waking up that early then with a heavy head and a very heavy heart is even harder. But then the third layer is, what's my job, Harpz? Making people happy. I need to wake the nation up on my breakfast show every morning for 4 hours to make you feel good. How can I do that if I don't feel good? Becomes a problem. So this is why I fell into depression before I got the job, but I've also been through a hell of a lot in my journey during my career, towards the end of my breakfast show years as well, for different reasons. But I've been through the wave before. It went, it came back, still go through it a little bit here and there now. But to balance it all and realize that I have a responsibility and a duty every day, which is to make people feel good whilst I don't feel good, is something I need to change. Because I kept doing it for so long and just didn't realize how the hell do I get out of this. It was just a vicious circle.
Did you ever get the right level of support in those
I don't think
very high profile shows?
It's hard because, when you watch it back, like you said, when I'd watch it back or I'd listen back to my shows, I never saw it in through my radio shows because I was very good at masking what I really felt because I knew you can't see me. But people that were with me in the studio or around me in the building can obviously see me. And I was not in a good place. I was not in a good state. I'd come crying to work every morning. But the minute I'd go in the studio, that's it. The fader's up. Right, let's go. Like I became so numb to the emotion, but got into autopilot every morning of going, I know what to do when the mic goes up, I have to do this. And when the mic goes down, I'm a mess. I was the complete opposite to what you just heard. Like, that is what used to happen. But
your employers were seeing that.
Yeah. So
and were they helping you as an employer?
But this is the part I'm getting at. I feel like even though people see that and they know something's wrong and they're asking you every day, I don't think I got the support I probably needed. Yeah, I got it from certain people in my own support system, whether they were certain friends or whoever. But I don't think I necessarily got the help that I probably wanted or needed.
What would have you wanted, do you think? Let's say there's a radio presenter, TV host now in a similar, like experiencing grief or trauma, but having to put on that front hundreds of thousands of people, maybe millions of people. What does good support look like, do you think?
I feel like sometimes it can be the simple things, which is it can take 5 minutes for someone to pull you to a side, be aware of what's going on because they can see it.
Yeah.
And just to have a little chat with you for 5 minutes of going, are you okay? For someone to ask you, are you okay? Like on a serious level means a lot. And it can go a very long way because you just feel like someone realized, picked up on it and actually wants to hear you. That's how I see it. But for someone across the street to just be like, hey, you okay? And you carry on walking, that's not, to me, that's just a normal thing you do. But maybe it's the simple things of sitting down with someone and saying, are you okay? Do you want to talk about it? Is there anything you do want to talk about? Is there anything I can do to help? Like, I don't know.
These are nice phrases, right? Anything I can do to help.
I just feel like there's 2-3 little things that if you just word them correctly, maybe that would help. And maybe, I don't know if I'm wrong, but I think maybe I was seeking for those things at a time where I felt I wanted it, but I don't think I did. Or if I did, I definitely didn't give it enough attention with so much going on. But I think it's hard when you're in this industry, man. And I think this is what I speak about a lot because even though I've seen it before my career, I've seen it during. And the during part is so difficult. I cannot express how hard it is to put on that face when there's so much going on in your head, like every other person. And I think people sometimes forget that we're human too and we live normal lives just like everybody else. Just because we're on TV for 5 minutes, just because I'm playing a game on my kid's TV show getting slimed does not mean that I'm thinking my life is great when I leave that studio. It's hard, isn't it, to mix all those emotions. 1 minute you're like trying to be happy for the kids and then the next minute you're going home and you're thinking, wow, my life is over. I don't want to do this anymore. It's mad to me. I couldn't believe my brain was doing that or it was capable of doing that. Because I just became so used to it. And the sad part of my story is I think I just don't like looking back on it that I actually made myself become so numb to real emotions. And I just became so good at putting on this mask of I'm fine. I could walk into this room now and you wouldn't have a clue what's just happened to me 5 minutes before, the night before, yesterday, because I don't need to tell you that. But and neither do you.
Yeah.
So this is what there might
you need the right
that's a true story as well with us in this room right now. I've got no idea what you were feeling before this, yesterday, the night before, and vice versa. But that's the thing, right? With life, we're with people all the time. You haven't got a clue what someone's just gone through. But sometimes maybe just asking them, are you okay? From your heart might make a difference. But it's worth a try.
Well, I feel like you embody is everything that this podcast is meant to stand for. Questioning the default, things we have to change in society, how we live, where we work, in our relationships, and our family setups around mental health to get the outcome that we want, which is better mental health and more honest conversations. I feel like you've said this in pretty much every answer, but we have a set of recurring questions.
Okay.
So the first one is, what's one societal default or unwritten rule you'd erase or rewrite if you could?
Men don't cry,
I
or
knew you were
men
gonna say
shouldn't
that.
cry. I'm sorry, I'm going to keep
No,
saying
great.
it. Yeah,
Nice.
that needs to be wiped off planet Earth. I don't know why it exists. I don't know where it's written. I don't know where people are getting it from. Please, it's not the way to live your life. It doesn't matter who you are, what you are, where you're from. If you're feeling something, just please feel it. I don't understand why that is even a thing. So I'm going to keep saying that needs to be gone. Not even rewritten, just
please
gone.
Keep doing that. And again, to this point that you have been very open, but we do ask every guest this.
Yes.
What's something you've never or rarely said publicly, but perhaps feel ready to now?
Oh, that's a tough one. What am I ready to share now? Okay, well, something quite recent. Even though I've made it public, there's a lot I've not said about it still, which I might not say it here, but I'll give a little insight.
Yeah.
I lost my granddad at the beginning of this year. And the closest person to my heart, I've pretty much lived with him for like 28 years of my life. Almost like a second dad. So when the biggest apple of your family tree falls, it's painful in ways I can't describe. But I've never openly said that I'm struggling, because I'm still giving people hope of how to grieve and how to cope and how to deal with it. Doesn't matter which way they go. But I've never dealt with someone passing in my arms and that happened. So I think I've never spoke about that, but I think I do want to talk about that journey a little bit more openly at some point, just to give other people hope as well that it's all right, because I think I'm slightly traumatized. I think I'm slightly disturbed. I don't know if they're the right words to use, but I just feel like that because I've never experienced that or dealt with it. But I've never heard people enough talking about that moment and how they've coped with it after. So maybe I should do that as well in case there's anyone else. I've never said that out.
And thank you for saying that. I mean, I'm actually not going to ask a follow-up question because I feel like you've been so open and it's been such a intense hour for you that I don't feel that's the right place. But I do think that will help many, many people if and when you feel ready to do that. That's kind of completely took me off my mind. No, but rightly so. It's if I ask powerful questions, I should get powerful responses. But thank you. So these do also require you to think quite deep. So let's say we fast forward 10 years, it's 2035. What do you hope we're talking about? Or perhaps what do you worry we might still be talking about?
I hope that we're in a position where it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, what you do, that we're all more confident and open enough to sit like this and talk about it. What I mean by that is it shouldn't be the same type of people doing it again and again. I want more of us by that point doing this, opening up, talking about your real life experiences, because we can't learn unless we hear from other people. You're not going to know what other feelings are or what kind of problems exist unless we're not talking. So I hope we are, and I do, but I do think we will. I think we will be, because we're all on the right path of doing incredible things like this, like yourself. And that's exactly why I said yes to doing it, because I would love to keep jumping on things like this, because that's what we're trying to do, get that word out. So I just want more of us to be doing this more openly, more confidently, and less pressure around it. Without the pressure on us of second guessing should we be doing this or not. That just needs to go. Just do it.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
And then again, it might feel random, this question, but it does open up some interesting responses. So what are your reflections on AI, and what do you think it means for you, your work, and perhaps those that you love?
Ooh. Isn't it funny how all our convos with our friends and family recently are just AI? I feel like I've had this chat a lot with so many people because of how powerful it is. How do I feel about it? I'm very 50-50, if I'm honest. Okay. I don't know what most people are saying about it.
Every guest is a bit different. That's why we ask it.
I'm a bit of both. I see the greatness in it. I see that it's able to do things we've never possibly imagined that were even possible. Like you look at AI stuff and you just go, how? What? And
sometimes it's not worth the effort to think because it's so complex, right?
Sometimes it's so real that you don't even know what to question because it's so real. But then I do see the dangers of it. I see the downside of it, which is one, it's very dangerous to make things seem real, which aren't. I feel there's a lot that...
It's like human beings?
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot that can go wrong with this. But I also see the other side of it trying to teach you the right things, but it might not be because you're just relying on it. So I don't know. I feel like I don't know. There's a lot I see good in it, but there's a lot that puts me off from it too. But I think work-wise, if we were to put it into the working world, in the industry I work in particular, I don't like it.
Really?
Yeah, because I feel like it's a slight cheat code into getting jobs that we probably worked our absolute backsides off for. But now you could do a quick little search in something and it's done. Everything's done. So I feel like that is a little bit dangerous in our working world, because is talent being wiped out? Is real skill being wiped out because it's been done for you?
Yeah, and what is real skill now based on?
Yeah, like I feel like real skill now has changed so much. Now it's about a number. Well, I think it's a numbers game now. Now it's all about the views. It's the stats, not your skill. That's just how I see it now. But maybe it's because of my time of getting into the industry was so different. It was trying to find everything that you could to just make this work and make it happen. But you really had to use that brain.
Everything.
Really,
every ounce of energy.
Yeah, you had to use every bit of blood, sweat and tears, literally.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's just a slight little... I like it, but I don't like it. I feel like it's a slight little cheat way of getting somewhere, but you might not even have half the skills that someone else has got in the room.
Which could
and
be
that could be their degrees, that could be, you know, their education, their work experience in itself.
Their lived experience, like what you've shared today.
And their lived experience. Because now it's so easy for someone to just walk through the door and go, here are my stats and my views and my numbers. I'll do it. But I know I'm going down a completely different gate.
That's exactly why I ask it every single day. I keep asking
that,
and I keep getting amazing responses.
I'm glad.
It works. It sometimes looks quite odd alongside the rest of the list.
I love talking about this. I just hate that sometimes I get so passionate, I'm sidetracking a bit. But I'm not sure how much I agree and like this new world.
Well, maybe in 2035 we'll do this again and we can work it out
we'll
together.
talk about it again.
But no, a massive thank you for coming on the show and everything that you have done. The letter in support of Calm was incredibly powerful, but also just your kind of passion around this topic. And as you said, I don't know if you have helped people. I think just the number of people that will be reading your work daily, there are not a huge amount of people, right, talking about it in your culture. And I think what you're doing is incredibly credible. And I hope there are opportunities for you to come on again, perhaps on more niche topics like we're here today, but also, looking forward to seeing what you go on to do next. And so just, huge thank you for all the effort you've made to be here. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure. I know these things are not easy to talk about, but if we don't do it, who's going to do it? So thanks, Harry. It's been great. Great point to end on. Thank you so much. Harpz reminded us today that success and struggle can coexist. Multiple years of intense, sometimes even unpaid graft, to then making it on the BBC Breakfast Show. Then, masking grief whilst waking up the nation, essentially, she called out the harmful defaults that men don't cry and why silence around suicide really and truly does cost lives. Her challenge is pretty simple. Ask properly, listen fully, and use your voice so someone else can find theirs. So much stood out from me from this episode. Harpz's letter is one of the most courageous things I think I've ever read. It perfectly models vulnerability and the importance of storytelling. It shows why storytelling in certain communities is so key. You need to be able to resonate and see yourself in the person that you're hearing the story from and therefore be inspired by them. But also the access to support might look very different from one community to the next. So really what Harpz is doing with her advocacy work is truly, truly life-saving. You know, whilst I'm very open in my work, I actually did find myself questioning how vulnerable I am around those that I love and also those that I work with every single day. So perhaps we can all just take that moment today to consider how we can be open and vulnerable this week with someone in our close circle. I thought it was incredibly powerful how Harpz was able to show up live on kids' TV whilst hiding so much grief, but also at the same time, how unsustainable and unsafe that really is. You know, Harpz was able to work our way through that, but kind of this moment will always stay with me. You know, no person is able to sustain that amount of pressure for a long period of time. I could relate to moments where I needed to keep up appearances, essentially, and where the facade of my own life was starting to show cracks. But Harpz was able to keep on keeping on. And even though she had so much happening on the inside, in the end, she was able to navigate her way through that pain and that difficulty. Of course, that's just not safe and sustainable for all of us. And we, of course, need to think about the role of the workplace when it comes to good mental health, but also the entrenched issues that we face in some sectors. What more can we do to protect those in TV? If you work in film, media and TV, I'd love to hear your thoughts. But a huge, huge thank you to Harpz for her vulnerability and the role that she is playing, especially when it comes to advocating on and with Calm. I think we have to do more to look at personalised supports to individual communities and cultures across the UK. We can't have this broad brush approach to when it comes to talking about mental health and suicide. We need to understand the issues that are facing particular people from particular cultures. Thank you so much, Harpz, for the vulnerability you showed today. Thank you so much for what you're doing for your community. You've given me a new insight, an insight that I did not have previously, and you've given a language to so many people. If today brought stuff up for you, and I'm sure it may have done for many people listening, please do remember that this podcast is in support of Calm, the campaign against living miserably. Calm offer a web chat service, but also a helpline here in the UK. It's available 5 p.m. to midnight every single day of the week. Please do reach out if you need to talk to somebody. And if you're enjoying listening to our podcast, please follow Question the Default on whichever platform you're listening to. Leave a quick rating if you can, and 2 taps really can help us on our journey. Subscribe if you're watching on YouTube too. We'll be back next week at the same time with another episode. Thank you so much.